For me, I was surprised by how much I still wanted to eat unhealthy food. I lost a lot of weight, and it took a long time, so I'm doing my best to stay healthy, but I really thought I wouldn't want to eat sweets once I was in shape. I now understand why that was not a smart assumption. But in the spirit of helping others who are on a similar journey, what's one thing you wish someone had told you sooner? Story 1. For some reason, I always thought if I got fit, everything else would fall in line. Like I would suddenly be more organized, more motivated, better with money, keep a cleaner house and workspace, and so on. While some of those things have slightly improved, the reality is I'm still an untidy slob who is terrible with money. But I look and feel great, so I'll take it. Story 2. Took time for the way I picture myself to change. I'd still imagine myself being bigger, then I'd walk past a mirror or something like that and I'd be like, oh nice. Story 3. I still crave sweets and junk all the time too. I keep more fruit around the house and removed all the sugary stuff. I deleted Uber Eats to make myself cook more at home. I made a point that if I'm going to get takeout or something sweet, I'm going to walk to the store instead of keeping it in the house. Easier said than done. A big part is realizing for me that the gym is nice, but the bigger problem always was and still is my diet. Story 4. Some of my health markers. When I was about 45, I was 5 feet 9 inches and 185 pounds with a 35-inch waist. That is about 20 pounds over a healthy weight, no matter how you slice it, and my cholesterol and blood pressure were edging up. So I dropped to about 150 pounds by changing my diet, walking more, and doing regular cardio. Took my waistline down to 30 inches. My cholesterol went down a little. Blood pressure did not budge. So I started weightlifting. Went from 150 pounds to 205 pounds over the course of about 2 years. There was some muscle gain there. Chest went from 36 inches to 46 inches. But also some fat. Waist went from 30 inches to 32 inches. That was what dropped my blood pressure and cholesterol. I think the insight here is that fitness and health are both complex and multidimensional. Some kinds of fitness will help improve some aspects of your health. If a health metric like your blood pressure is not responding to exercise, it could be you are not doing the right kinds of exercise. Story 5. I'm overweight again but losing some. For me, it's just how hard it is to stay disciplined. It actually gets even harder because when you are smaller, that cheeseburger is a larger portion of your daily calorie burn than when you are heavy. The same discipline it takes to lose 50 or 100 pounds has to continue once you're there. It never stops being a requirement, and reaching a goal is misleading. For a race car driver, once he gets to the finish line, he lets off the gas and hits the brakes. For weight management, there are no brakes and there's no slowing down. Story 6. I'm still a dorky introvert and mostly don't think my personality changed at all, which makes me roll my eyes when I talk about how much nicer everyone is when you're fit, and people are all like, oh no, it's just that you're more confident now. It can't be because they view overweight people as subhuman. Story 7. The need for trauma therapy. I have taken so many things to extremes over the years. Eating, work, drinking, spending, recovery. It has been interesting watching that insatiable need for something dissipate as I have recovered. I am much better in touch with that than I have ever been. It is still work, though. Story 8. My dating life is still really depressing. It's just the how that has changed. Before, it was a lot of you're really great, and I like everything about you, but it just can't work. Now, it's a mix of women who are instantly dismissive of me when I disclose any type of personal struggle because they apparently think not ugly plus man equals perfect life, and those who fawn entirely too hard over me but then swing violently the other way if I get freaked out because they came on entirely too hard. Both are really uncomfortable for me. Bonus. I've actually been getting, I liked you more when you were fat and miserable, recently too. Story 9. Body dysmorphia probably. Lost 70 pounds and I am by all standards in good shape now. Just still feel fat and do not like my reflection on my phone. In mirrors, however, I look great but I can't convince myself that it is me. Story 10. Sugar is addictive and not talked about. Any chance it gets brought up, Pepsi and Coca-Cola panic and lobby to make it disappear. That's why you still crave sweets and simple carbohydrates. I love Pepsi and still enjoy it once or twice a month. But I do think sugary food companies are behaving like cigarette companies. Story 11. Body dysmorphia. I literally have abs and big muscles that are toned and defined, and I still don't feel good enough, mostly due to financial reasons more than anything. People also are capable of treating you much worse if you have big muscles. You'd be surprised how much people can get their hate on and start being bullies for no good reason just because someone is muscular and proud. Like, dude, so many people went from skinny to muscular or from fat to muscular and probably got bullied or struggled with low self-esteem for a long time. Then you have individuals coming in and trying to make someone feel bad after finally getting out of a bad mental state. At the end of the day, money, power, and status triumph everything. Story 12. That just losing weight in and of itself is not a path to happiness. I was never morbidly obese, but I lost a good chunk of weight and nothing really changed. I wasn't happier. In fact, I kind of didn't like the way my skinnier face looked because I'm not a kid anymore, and the weight loss seemed to accentuate my age. So, of course, I think maintaining a reasonable weight is important for all sorts of reasons, but it didn't really do anything tangible for me. Story 13. I lost 60 pounds in 60 months through diet, calorie tracking, and exercise, primarily cardio. Noticeable differences such as 1. Lowered blood pressure from 152/92 to 110/72. Lower weight from 205 pounds to 145 pounds. Pants size down from 36 to 30. More energy. Look younger, healthier, and just a lot better all around. More attention from women. Although I am married and wouldn't act on it, my wife and I noticed more women paying attention. However, my wife's attention did not change as a result of the weight loss. Her affection remained the same. Sexually, it definitely gave me harder erections, more stamina, and made my penis bigger because of the reduction of the fat pad in my pubic region. Noticeable difference when having sex and longer sessions. Increased confidence. All around, I just felt better about myself, felt healthier, and in general, felt and looked younger. Story 14. Pretty much the same as everybody else here. Two things that didn't change were my love for sweets and my energy levels. First, the supplement store I usually go to for my protein said they had new candy replacements but with vitamins to make them healthier, like gummy bears, so I bought some. Believe me when I say I could taste the lies in those little fake bears. Second, energy. I used to train for strongman before I went to university. Even then, my energy levels were super low. Now that I'm done with university, I didn't train much or even at all during university because of university, and have more time to myself. I figured I'd ditch the strongman dream but still work out for a better figure. Nope, no energy still. But feeling my muscles reawaken after not properly training for years does feel pretty good. I just wish I didn't feel so exhausted all the time. Story 15. I lost 150 pounds from 2016 to 2017. Since 2020, I've gained about 50 back and have been working to get rid of it again. The foods and habits I want didn't change. I still love junk food, and I still want to sit and eat it. I have to fight mentally not to participate in those bad habits. I've seen a lot of people have weight loss surgery who didn't address their bad habits and gained most of their weight back within a few years. Story 16. I'm 70 pounds down right now, with 40 to go for my goal weight of 195 pounds. I see myself as the same as I've always been because I have a very hard time judging myself, and nobody around me is really saying anything, so I have zero perspective on myself. Story 17. Decided I was going to do it. Cut way down on food and exercised a lot. When I got down to a good weight, I started eating normally again. Now the only thing that can throw me off is too much sugar and alcohol. This happens in short bursts, but then I bounce back in less than a week. It also helps that I am not fond of carbohydrates. Edit. Depending on when you start counting, I lost 40 kilograms in a year or 20 kilograms in 4 months. Story 18. I love physically holding different muscle groups. It's weird because I used to have absolutely zero ass and it's still not great, but sometimes after I'm done showering, I'll squeeze my glutes and then start poking them or holding my biceps like a burrito. Story 19. Still fat, but I've attempted weight loss several times. I'm 2000% sugar addicted. The snacks outside of meals. I eat a cookie, and I'm thinking about the next one already. I can devastate a box of cookies daily, family size. Every time I diet, this craving never goes away. It takes one time to drag me back slowly to 200 pounds, my maximum increasing by 5 pounds every attempt, it seems. I have a good metabolism at least, but I only gain belly visceral fat, which is causing a lot of issues. Story 20. I went from being obese to being skinny to being muscular. I currently operate on a cycle of bulking and cutting, and I'm trying to get as big as I possibly can naturally, which so far has actually yielded some excellent results thanks to my muscle-building genetics. It's a common misconception that to get huge and lean like me, you have to avoid snacks and sweets. Let me tell you, my diet is not clean. I just make sure I hit my macronutrients and stay below a certain calorie threshold when I'm in a cutting phase or taking a break in maintaining. You do not need to quit junk food to avoid being overweight. You don't need to avoid high fructose corn syrup. You don't need to avoid pizza or chips. I'm out here eating donuts for breakfast. People who aren't in the fitness space are always talking about how we fitness enthusiasts are obsessed with calories in, calories out. No, every diet, no matter what kind, is attempting to induce this concept through various methods, often ones that cause relapse and in the long term don't really work out well. The reality is that you cannot retain weight if you're not taking in enough calories to maintain weight, and you cannot gain weight if you're not in a caloric surplus. It's thermodynamically impossible. Sorry, it's just science. That's why I can go on a weekend junk food binge and still lose fat, and why diets like keto always seem to lead to gaining all the weight back when you stop doing them. Anyway, to actually answer the question in the post, something that hasn't changed is I still really dislike cardiovascular exercises, and I avoid doing them. I get all my steps in by walking. Running is unpleasant. Story 21. My insecurities. In some ways, I was absolutely more confident. But I also had no experience or any idea on how to approach or speak to women. I had always thought if I got in shape, it would be easy. But if you do not work on your communication skills, you will still be in the same boat mentally. Story 22. I was an incredibly chubby kid through the end of my senior year of high school. Then I slowly started losing weight through college. I am now a nationally competing bodybuilder. And something that will never change is that I can consume 10,000 calories in a day with no problem, as if it's nothing. My coach will have me prepare for a show, and sometimes I'll be ahead of schedule, and he will give me a day to eat my protein and then eat whatever I want. I had to tell him the first time that I could easily eat 20,000 calories in a day. He said, "No way." I did it with no problem and recorded every meal I ate. He no longer allows me to do that. Story 23. I used to be pretty fat. I got in shape and I was like, well, my work is done. I'll always be fit now, like how I used to always be fat. Then I got fat again. Then I lost weight and kept it off. So yeah, just because you're fitter doesn't mean you'll stay that way. You have to continue to work at it. Story 24. Nothing changed apart from me always being hungry and thinking about food. In the past, food was a way to at least relieve some boredom. Now I don't even have that luxury. All I do is just stare at the wall or endlessly scroll through Reddit. And I don't care about any health benefits derived from it. All that tells me is that I'll be forced to live longer, which I don't want. Story 25-1. My constant hunger and craving for sugar. My introversion. I didn't realize how introverted I was until I suddenly had zero excuse not to want to go somewhere and try to talk to women. I was never shy, so I figured I couldn't be an introvert, but I totally am. Quite often, I just want to be alone, even if I now like how I look and can get women's attention. Story 26. Losing weight doesn't mean you know how to use your body. Being fat and stiff is the worst, but being skinny and stiff isn't much better, so I gave up and regained the weight. Later in life, I figured out how to move really well, and suddenly it stopped mattering that I was fat, and the weight just took care of itself over time. It's not that people judge you for being fat necessarily. It's that people can't engage with muted body language. My advice is to not start at the gym. The gym is where you go when you already know what you're doing, like taking supplements. Go find a park with lots of rough terrain and crawl around it for a couple of months so you can get used to moving in lots of different situations. Don't kill yourself with drudgery when you can spend the time having adventures outside instead. Story 27. I still see myself in the mirror and in pictures. With all the weight I lost, I really thought I would feel better about that person. The craving for unhealthy food is very real and almost constant. I thought others would notice since I started at just over 300 pounds, lost about 100 pounds of fat, and added 40 pounds of muscle. But I've only had one person say anything, and they knew I was working on it. Oh well, a long way to go still. Story 28. I lost 23 kilograms, going from 90 to 70, and I wouldn't feel like I was in good shape. I had the same insecurities. I changed my body, but not my mind. It was never enough. Story 29. I lost about 100 pounds over the course of 2 to 3 years back, when I was 18 to 20. Definitely, the things that never changed were how I saw myself in my mind and how I looked at food. Now, since COVID, I have been gaining weight back, and it's pretty depressing, but also, I lost it all before, so I can do it again. Story 30. I thought it would be easier to find pants that fit. If they fit my thighs and butt, they would be too big in the waist. I always had to wear a belt, and the waistband would bunch up. When I lost weight, I still had the same problem, just on a smaller scale. Also, I still love to eat. Losing weight is not the hard part. Keeping it off is.